welcome to On the Mic. New episode today, so thanks for being with us. Today I'm excited to have Jack Wilson. Now, Jack's a touring professional that's played on the Aussie tour, and he's a Victorian, but at the moment he apparently is in Canberra, so I'm not sure how I feel about him at this stage. But he's a 29-year-old who's got a fair CV, so I'll run through a little bit of it. He's the Vic Amateur Champion of 2010. He's the winner of the 2013 WA PGA. Runner-up 2019 CP PNG Golf Open. He came third in the Aussie PGA in 2013 and fifth in the New Zealand Open 2017. So thanks for being with me, Jack, and appreciate your time, mate.
Jay, thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure and looking forward to catching up. It's been a while.
It has. It's been a long time. So what have you been up to, especially with this shutdown? I hope you've been sticking away from people and not infecting anyone.
Yeah, no, mate. I fingers crossed. It's I'm yet to catch corona, and I hopefully have maintained all my distance where possible. But yeah, lucky enough, I was pretty tough for all the boys at the moment that are relying on playing income with golf being shut down worldwide. So I injured myself at the start of the year, probably doing something I shouldn't have been doing, jiu-jitsu, little rib injury, which forced me to miss the first 4 events on tour this year. And although not holding any status, I would have likely played all 4 and certainly attempted to. And then that decision, knowing that the tour was going to be pretty quiet from then on, I was actually approached about a position in Canberra, and my partner lives down here, and it was like a perfect storm and things. I made the decision to move, and then all of a sudden the world went crazy, and I'd taken up a position at Royal Canberra sort of a week or 2 earlier. And yeah, mate, as it sits, where we didn't have to close, unlike Victoria, and we've got a lot of different protocols in place. But that's me, mate. I'm working 38, 40 hours a week still at the moment.
Perfect. And still obviously making a bit of money that way through coaching and still being able to practice. How's the rib injury?
Yeah, the ribs are fine. I came back just after I moved down here. There was a run of pro-ams in Canberra, so I came off no preparation straight into those events. But it was it was good, mate. It was good to be back out there playing, and yeah, I was pretty. I've had a few injuries now, so I'm pretty good with the rehab and stuff, and I made sure I did everything right.
Yeah, sure. So with the jiu-jitsu, is that just a thing you want to do away from golf, or is that something that you've always done? Or
no, look, it was first ever class, but it's something that I've got a lot of interest in, and I think the ego got the better of me. There was a guy who had been doing it for a long time that was sort of manhandling me a little bit, and I thought I might be able to overpower him, and as it turned out, I sort of moved that floating rib and fractured another rib, and it was a good lesson to learn, because I've inquired about jiu-jitsu a few times, and I love the discipline involved, and I love just the anatomy side of it and understanding your body, and I think that'd be beneficial for golf. It's just one of those ones, you make a decision to do something like that, you put yourself in risk of injuring yourself, and as it turned out, I was a bit unlucky, and that's what happened. So I'll probably pursue it further. I think I really enjoyed it, even though I got injured. I did really enjoy it. And, it is a really good sport. It'd be something that kids further down the future, it'd be probably something I'll encourage them to get into. I reckon it's a pretty cool sport.
Yeah, so through Joe Rogan experience, obviously Eddie Bravo, I've actually gone and looked at his sort of stuff, and it looks very like he does obviously a specific thing with his jiu-jitsu is a little bit different, but man, it's pretty flexible and pretty cool what they do with his schooling.
Absolutely, man. And it's like chess. You got to be 3 moves ahead. You got to be able to predict what happens, and then there's 3 or 4 different options, and then when that happens, all right, what's your play to that? But it's all in fast time. I don't know. I love that. If you get past the whole idea of laying on a mat with a bloke wrestling all sweaty and real close up in each other's grill, you get past that, mate, and it's a lot of fun, and just a good challenge mentally as well as physically.
I'll be worried about knee to the nads or something. Do you wear any protection down there, or is that just I miss?
Yeah, look, I wasn't, but I think it's part of the game, isn't it? Really, you want to be making sure you're keeping those protected at all times.
Exactly. Oh, good, man. Good luck with all that. I want to get back to golf though. And before we get into the pro stuff, back as an amateur, as you said in the intro, you had a nice win at the Vic Amateur Championship. So talk me through your amateur career before you turned pro. I think that was back in 2010. So you turned pro, I think, the next year.
Yeah, mate. So I was pretty lucky. Grew up country Victoria, Echuca, Rich River, 36 holes, lived across the road. Made the move to Melbourne just after I finished school with no real results at all other than just local stuff, and lived on the course at Kingswood. Battled a few injuries, wrist and stuff like that. Managed to get myself into an outer squad, Victorian squad. Learned how to train, started seeing some decent coaches, and was lucky enough that David Capaldo was based out of Kingswood at the time. So he took on my coaching, and other than, I don't think I even won an Ivo Witten event in Victoria, to be honest. I had a couple of seconds and thirds, but that was about it. Come the end of the year, Vic Amateur at that stage, Port Phillip was qualifying, so 72 holes qualifying, and then into the match play, and qualified 31st. My toughest match was round 1 against the 32 seed, I believe. And I managed to get through to the final. And I remember it was at Woodlands, which was in epic condition at that point. Like it's still, when it's in good condition, one of my favourite tracks, but obviously good memories there as well.
Track, isn't it?
Yeah. And I had Ryan McCarthy in the 36-hole final. And my parents rang me the night before asking if they should come down. And I said, look, don't bother. Like, there's absolutely no chance. He's Eisenhower
So he
Cup.
was touted as a big favourite, was he?
At the time, mate, he was Eisenhower Cup. He was one of the highest ranked, if not the highest ranked in Australia at the time. Yeah, I didn't give myself a chance, like, let alone anyone else. I remember there was no one out there.
That was your prep, was it? That was your prep?
That was my mental prep.
Nothing to lose.
And, mate, to be honest, when the expectations are low, there's something in that. You know, I probably will, I'm sure we'll touch on it, but I have the tendency to raise the expectations so high that I almost put myself out of it. I think that's probably one of my traits. But yeah, that one was, I was 3 or 4 up through 18, and I sat down with him and his parents for lunch. It was a weird environment, I tell you. And then managed to win 3 and 2, and Vic Amateur, even the president of Golf Victoria at the time, announced my name wrong 3 times in the presentations. That's how much of an unknown I was. It was hilarious. One of my best mates still calls me one of those names. So it's a good memory. And I'd made the decision to go trainee before I won that. That was in December, and I'd made the decision to go trainee as of January 1 the following year. And I got a number of calls from the amateur body saying, stay amateur, and, you might get, they started talking Eisenhower Cup and stuff like that. I'm like, this is the only thing I've ever showed up in. It's a big jump to be jumping Eisenhower from here. So I stuck to that course, and best decision I made. That allowed me to get a couple of invites in the first 2 tour events of 2011 in Vic Open and Vic PGA. Vic PGA was at Sandhurst when it got rained out. I finished like 22nd, but I was playing for cash, and that's a different ball game altogether, in my opinion. I honestly reckon that playing amateur golf's one thing, and I didn't play as extensively as many, but once you turn pro, there's been enough guys to case study to showcase that it is very different.
Yeah, so that's interesting. The decision you already had made, and you stuck with it, even though you had all that pressure, and obviously you would have got a boost of confidence winning that amateur title. So talk me through that decision making. So were you just thinking, okay, well, as I learn and maybe have a backup after my 3 years, then I can still make money and maybe earn some status through the traineeship?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got the opportunity to do it at a really good club, a club where I was living on the golf course, guys that I got along with. There's a lot of support there. So that helped with that decision, because you hear the horror stories, particularly of the past. Absolutely. But it was that. It was that I hadn't really had many results, and I had the ability to work. And at that time, I'd moved out of home. My parents didn't have the money to float me. I was working in a bar. I was working casually in the pro shop just to play the Ivo events. And I was going backwards doing that. Like you could work 3 or 4 days a week and try and practice. And so to see the opportunity to play still, get a degree, which in an industry that I was a fan of, and work with some guys who I enjoyed their company. It was a pretty easy decision, really. And then I was just super lucky to get that win at the end of the year, and it did propel me a bit. It definitely gave me that confidence. The first national ranking event in the traineeship was Rich River, and that was going home. And I got to go home, play a 4-round tournament, and managed to chalk that one up as a win as well. So,
yeah, talking from guys that I was lucky in a way, probably, because I was in my last year as you were in your first year, and you came and started cleaning up. And, coming off Vic Amateur Championship, we're like, what's this guy doing? Like, leave us alone. We're trying to, play for a little bit of pittance on a Monday. And this
that was
guy
fantastic, man. At that stage, we were still playing for cash at that point. Life was life was great.
Yeah.
A little envelope on the Monday and happy days.
Yeah, exactly. Quite structured, wasn't it? It was for people watching as an amateur and not sure what they want to do with their career. Yeah, your traineeship was a well-structured place to be, and I've got lifelong friends out of it too. So it gives you the skills, and as you said, you've really benefited from it. So I would encourage people to look at it if that's what they want to do.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that?
Oh, mate, absolutely. I always say if you can't make it through the traineeship and improve, you're never going to cut it on tour. Because on tour, if you're going to, there's always the odd exception, but on tour is tough, man. Like you got to be self-sufficient. You got to run a business. You've got to be very efficient with your time because things crop up and you've got to just make decisions on the fly and make it work, So it's I honestly believe that was the best thing for me. I learned to win when money was on the line, and I learned to make the most of my practice and work hard. I put in some long hours during that traineeship. There's often times where I was at MGA until they were kicking me out after doing a 12-hour shift. I put the work in. Don't get me wrong. That was something that I did see through that time, and I saw the benefits from it, and the satisfaction and the results, and that helps you commit to the process when it's like that.
Yeah, I noticed even for me, because I didn't really have much of an amateur career either. I started golf pretty late, and I decided to go early into the traineeship because I sort of wanted to do coaching. I knew that in myself. But even with the playing in tournaments, my attitude level changed. I don't know, I was more focused when I was playing for money and bigger events. Even though my skill level was the same, my attitude changed completely. And my level actually increased just with my attitude change. It was quite fascinating.
Yeah, mate. I remember playing. You had plenty of games. Don't you worry about that. There's a lot of grit involved.
Mate, stop it. Thanks, mate. I'll give you that money a bit later. So, look, I think, the trainee life was great. And obviously it's propelled myself into a coaching career as well. And as I said, lifelong friends. So in the 2011, 12 and 13 years you had, obviously your 2013 year was pretty successful as well. I noticed that I think you won the state champs, and I think you won 4 times as a trainee. And obviously we've got to talk about the 2013 PGA Championship too. So that really got you, into the spotlight almost with that 3rd place you got behind Adam Scott and Ricky Fowler. So talk us through that.
Yeah, so that was Aussie PGA. It was the month earlier that really kicked things off for me. That was the WA PGA in Kalgoorlie. It was like a week before my 23rd birthday. I'd taken 2 weeks off work, and I'd worked some big weeks to get that because I'd played some golf already that year. So, we were working to the structure of annual leave like any other job. So you had to make it fit. And I remember going over there on the Sunday through Adelaide, played a game in Adelaide, 18 holes on the Sunday, got to Kalgoorlie on the Monday, played 18 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before the event. And there was a 6 o'clock tee off on one day because the Pro-Am was in the afternoon. And so I would never structure my week like that any other time now, even though that, worked for me then. And then I went out and led from start to finish, end up winning in a playoff. I stumbled late in that final round to finish in a playoff. And I almost made albatross in the playoff. It drive a 2-iron and it went to like 10 feet. And then, the Nick Gillespie I was with in the playoff, he made 5 and I 2-putted. I'll never forget, I was rooming with Andrew Kelly and Tarquin McManus. Couldn't find champagne in Kalgoorlie. They came out with a couple of crownies each and showered me in beer. And then we sat in the car in a small little Toyota Corolla for 8 hours back to Perth. It was pretty surreal, you know, the glamour of life on tour. There was no climbing into a private jet and partying it up. It was a special time though. And then the conversation with the boss after that to say, you know, I've just won, hasn't been done before, but it turns out that's what opens up. Like, it gives me a winners category, and now I'm eligible for all the big events for the rest of the year. You know, WA Open the following week, Perth International. Then we had Futures. Then it was a week off. Then Aussie PGA, Aussie Masters, New South Wales Open, Oz Open. And I'm like, I've got to play all these. Like, what can we do? And, you know, so the PGA were great. They were supportive as well. It was obviously great for the traineeship for them, you know, to see that a trainee winning on tour and, you know, showcase that pathway. And then, so they were supportive and allowed me to then finish my traineeship into the following year. And I had the next 8 weeks off with a couple of shifts through the middle, and away we went.
What a boss! What a boss, Kingswood. I was a member there when I first came to Melbourne when I was 18. So
many years ago now.
I love that little course, mate. So they've gone with Peninsula Kingswood now down there, and that's an epic joint. But that little place has still got a lot of memories in my head. So
absolutely, mate. I'll never forget it, and I'll be able to. Yeah, I could never shoot a low one around there. Like, I remember, I think I shot 66 a couple of times, but that was like as low as it got. And I was out there a lot. So, you know, a golf course like that, I think it was condition-wise one of the best in Melbourne year-round. The super we had for majority of that time was pretty special. And it was just a great, it was like a country track on the outer sandbelt. It was a pretty special place.
All right, so you had the win at the WPGA, and that got you into the big one, the
Aussie PGA.
And then all of a sudden, you find yourself last day back 9 in contention with basically the Masters champ of 2013.
Yeah, so current world number 1 at the time, Scotty was. Mate, it was surreal that week. I come off Futures, hitting it awful. Turned up the start of that week, hit 3 shanks in 9 holes on the Monday, hit another 2 on the Tuesday. And I remember standing on the coach and we worked on, I had a tendency to get it in behind me. So working on just getting the club head outside my hands. And I just managed to shallow it out. And like the Pro-Am, I hit a few really good shots. And I remember like just going, there's something here. But mate, I'd missed the cut in the 2 previous events. I was like, if I make the cut this week, it would be epic. And I had my now boss, Stephen Sandilands, who was doing the traineeship at the same time. He was 3rd year as well. I was staying in his place on a mattress in his lounge room. And when we made the cut, we went out. We had steak, oysters, dessert. We're drinking red wine on the Friday night. We thought it was the greatest thing ever that we just made the cut. And then I go out Saturday and the weather's pretty average. And I post the best number of the day and come up the leaderboard to like 15th. And we're thinking this is the greatest thing ever. There's some interviews on YouTube that are the worst interviews ever. I come across as the most cocky, confident kid.
I did my research. I saw it. It wasn't quite cocky. It was confident. I know that. It wasn't like you hit a few shanks on Monday.
No, I certainly disguised it well, I tell you. But
did.
I remember, like a management team, we brought him up like, you can't act like this later on. So ever since then, it's been scarred. It scarred me. But, I was super confident. We sat in a spa and drank ciders that night. We thought it was great. And then Andy Marr was on-course commentator that week. And I'll never forget, he came up to me. We chatted through the week, and he was a member at Kingswood. So I had a bit of a relationship with him. And he come up to me at the start of that final round and goes, mate, I really tried to, I lobbied to be able to follow you around today and commentate. He goes, but they just won't let it, it's whatever. Sure. And I birdied 3 of the first 6, and he turned up with a roaming camera. I said, good on you, mate. Jump on the monkey's back here, right? No worries. And then, sure enough, the highlights show that I made birdie on 12, the par 5, at a really good pitch shot in close, and was 1 behind with on the 14th tee, the par 3 there, probably one of the worst par 3s in the world of golf, but not because of what happened to me, but just the it's a shocking par 3. And I hit I remember hitting the rules official come up to us on the tee. I was playing with Ash Hall, and he said to us, he goes, "Oh, look, there's some lightning coming." And it was black. And he goes, "Oh, I'm probably going to ring the siren." I said, "Oh, well, you need to just wait and hang out." He goes, "Oh, no, you've got to keep playing." And sure enough, I hit 4-iron, goes back bunker, which is fine. There's plenty of room.
You can't hit it on that green, man. I mean, you're hitting 4 3s and 2 irons into this narrow green. Like it's
that
just
sits
ridiculous.
Away from you. And at that point, there was bunkers at the back. So I've gone in that back left bunker, and I'm wrapped. Like, I'm like, this is fine. Like, there's more chance of me holing this than anything else. But, like, I was on the biggest momentum train of all time. And Scotty, from all accounts, he was going backwards on the leaderboard. So I'm 1 behind. I'm currently 2nd. I don't even know. Steve's great. We're just talking about some of the stories we talked about. Like, they were some interesting stories, non-golf related, I can assure you of that. And kept me pretty level. But yeah, we got called at the siren. The siren went straight after I hit that shot. I went and marked my ball, and I spent the next hour and a half doing interviews and watching myself on TV. And it gave me too much time to think about it, I think. And hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I came out, that bunker was nice and wet now instead of fluffy and soft. And as much as I went to the practice range to warm up and hit bunker shot after bunker shot, thinking it'd get me ready, I got out there, the heart's racing. I chase it, goes down the tier, a 3-putt and make double. And Scotty goes drive a 4-iron and like lips it out, taps it in for eagle. Yeah. So I went from 1 behind to 5 behind. And although I made birdie up the next, the par 5, and then made 3 pretty shaky but clutch pars coming in. I remember my dad had the highlight of the last hole, and it came up on the screen. It was like a $23,000 difference if we make or miss the putt. And he had it on there forever. It was like 8 foot, and I hole it and finish outright 3rd, pocket more than what 2 years of my wage was at that point. And finished 3rd, Adam Scott and Ricky Fowler. It was a pretty special week, mate. In hindsight, I probably had it won if we didn't get called off. But, you can't.
Those bastards.
It's easy to say it now.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. And like, where does the mindset come to be able to do that? I mean, you struggled on the Monday and Tuesday. Is it just something you found, as you said, as a rhythm or a confidence in the strike, and you just go with it? Golf's hard, right? Golf's hard. It's going to change every week. Is it just that confidence you just need to find in yourself to commit?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I think, every result in that early stage there for me was, I went in with no expectation. Like, I was always just in the shadows. No one even knew I was there. And then all of a sudden I had a point to prove. When I got to that point, it was like, well, I can, but I hadn't let myself get to the point where I'd already thought about what happens if I get that result, let alone thought I was capable of getting that result. And then as, time went on and those results started to mount up a little bit, the confidence started to get up, then the expectation followed. And, I'd start teeing it up every week expecting to win. That was probably, but at that point it was the thrill, man. It was the thrill of being in that position. At that point, I'd never been there before. So it was like, that's just pure excitement, adrenaline. It's great. And because the swing had probably been letting me down at the start of the week, I had a very clear swing thought, and I was shallowing it out. And like, I remember I try and find that feel now. That's 7 years ago. Like, I try and like manifest that feel of getting it shallow and hitting these fades that were just like launching great, and a soft fades with driver that were just landing on the spot. Man, I haven't had it since, I don't think it was, but it's right. It was a very special time, and I just managed to get into that rhythm a couple of times that year, I think. And when I did, I just held on and sort of rode that wave as much as I could, which sometimes wish I was able to recruit some of that later on.
Sure. When the pressure comes to you and the lights come and Andy Marr comes over to you and decides that, we're going to follow you, So did you take that on, or did you feel a bit of pressure? How did you react to that?
Yeah, I don't know. I probably didn't realize it at the time, but I'm a bit of I think I'm a bit of a showman. I think I don't exactly hide from the spotlight. And at that point, I think I was just getting a taste for it. And I don't know. I probably didn't understand what it could be and the power it could have. When you touch on brand and stuff now, it's at that point, I think I intuitively knew that there was an opportunity there, but I just didn't really know how to capitalize on it. But I did like it. I did like the idea of being the country kid that could achieve something pretty special. And I'd watched Daniel Popovic come from the clouds the year before. So, there's sort of that to bank off the fact of, maybe it is possible. But, I don't know, man. I do like that. I do like the spotlight and the thrill you get coming down the stretch in a golf tournament on Sunday. There's nothing like that, mate. And that's all I play for. If we put money and everything aside, the feeling you get when you're in that. And I've had a couple of times since. There was an Oz Open in 2016 where I had a run at it, and I wish I had have thought of what was on the line a bit more and played a little more conservative, because I saw the potential chance to win and I pushed so hard that it backfired. And I could run through endless amounts of times where that is, because I don't know, it was Dad or someone along the way said, no one ever remembers who comes second. And,
yeah, sure.
You push for that win all the time, but it is just because I had it once, and the feeling I got from winning was something pretty special. So, you just, I'd give anything for that. It's pretty special.
When you say pushing for the win, does that mean you're trying to make too many birdies? Is that being too conservative? How is your pushing for a win? How does that look when you're playing?
Pushing is highlight reels on ESPN Play of the Day. That's that's my number one goal. I think if there was anything I wanted to achieve in golf, it'd be that. It'd just to get that. Right, I think that'd be epic. But I think at that point it's generally making birdies. A lot of those times I've been in that situation, I haven't been leading. I've been cut behind. And that Oz Open, I was playing with John Senden in the last round, and it was the year Ogilvy and Aaron Badley went toe to toe, but they were like 3 holes in, and I'd played 13, and I was one behind. But you get ahead of yourself and you go, but I've got 5 to go. They're there. You start doing the math. You're like, if I make 3 birdies in the next 5, I could win this. And then really all I needed to do was par in, and I had a British Open spot and finished top 3. And I make 3 bogeys in the last 5 and finished 15th. And pretty big shift. But you never know that. And I'd hate to come back going, oh yeah, I just dollied that one up there and tapped it in, and and then I lagged that one, and I finished 3rd in Australian Open, but if I had just taken something on, who knows what could have been. So at least I know I had a crack. It was stupidity, probably, lack of intelligence, whatever you want to call it.
Well, you probably learn from it, right? I mean, you obviously left everything out there, but you learn from it, and you probably. I know patience is such a big thing, and it's very easy to say, but when you're in the moment, it's so hard to stay patient out there.
Absolutely.
When I look at Brooks Koepka, the last few majors, the amount of patience that man showed. I can't remember which major it was. I think it was the PGA. I think he was missing putts the front 9 the whole way. The whole time he was missing putts, and I'm like, this guy's going to surely fall soon. And just started making them around 15, 16, 17 when it really mattered. But the patience he showed over the first 11, 12 holes was unbelievable.
Absolutely, mate. And you look at the domestic players that I know quite well that have performed time after time here in Australia and outside, but mostly in Australia. You think of your Matt Millers, your Stephen Jeffress. These are the guys that don't really have that power and ability to, get the play of the day highlight stuff, but they're patient and they know their game and they know their capabilities, and time after time they're there and there again. Look, I think I definitely improved, but mate, I'm still the same person. I still have that same thing where I get aggressive, and it's the fun part of it. I love that. I love hitting the ball hard, and I love trying to get that highlight reel stuff. And it's why my scorecards are always so colourful.
Mate, exactly. And you've got the runs on the board, mate. So who knows, if you didn't have that attitude, who knows, what your resume looks like. So
exactly.
I think you just got to be yourself, man, and that's going to be the best. And as you said, you'll live with yourself if you're just yourself too. You'll be able to get up the next day with no regrets.
And mate, no, I'm super lucky with what I've been able to do because of it. So no regrets here.
Yeah, cool. And look, you touched on branding, which I think is interesting with yourself too, because look, I've obviously followed you over the last few years, and it's been hard to miss you, to be honest, with your nice big dreads and the beard and Riz. I think, is it Riz, your caddy? So you guys have been a bit of a duo over the last few years. So talk me through the branding aspect. I'm assuming that's deliberate, and you touched on that before.
Yeah, look, after that win, I think things changed dramatically for me. I spent 30 plus weeks overseas the following year in 2014 with no real results. Put the money I had aside to pay my tax bill. I put that into going and playing a year in Canada after getting status through web.com Q School. So came back from the end of 2015 after a lot of fun in Canada and a pretty dismal year in Europe the year before, and a state of rebellion. I'd grown my hair out, and I went, I'd always played Tiger Woods and customized my character with dreadlocks. And I was like, people keep telling me I can't do it. I'm doing it. And it was sort of that.
Yeah, sure.
Everyone kept pushing back on it. So I think, again, intuitively, I guess I predicted there was something in it, but never could I have imagined what happened when I turned up in January, February that following year with a head of dreadlocks, and the pushback I got. And then I went, oh, well, because of this, I'm going to continue to do it, and added the beard. And the brand started to form.
You're talking about the PGA, or who are you talking about?
Everyone, mate. Like, social media was, that was 2016,
right.
Started 2016. So it was flying by that stage. And every photo I'd put up there'd be an abusive comment on there, like, have a shave, you look like a bum, you're terrible for the game. What are you doing? Like, just so that just gave me fuel then. I was like, this is great. So, I kept doing it and exploited it. And then, golf in this country, we have some of the best golf courses, and we produce some of the best players. 7 wins this year already, like, from Australian players. There's no doubt that we have a place in golf in the world. And yet our tour here has been suffering for so long. And yet, yes, we're small, we don't have the population, but we haven't explored everything. So my brand, was to make golf more entertaining, accessible,
absolutely,
to a wider demographic, and that's what it was. I couldn't, and even now, other than with the exception of a couple of events, I can't sit there and watch golf on TV. So I can't expect any of my mates that are my age to want to sit there and watch it, because it's boring. And, that's like, it could be a lot better. It's the greatest sport in the world. I could argue that black and blue, which got so much potential. So I saw the opportunity to go, I'm going to expose a little bit of this here. And then you mentioned Riz. Riz was a conscious decision to come on board, because that was the start of 2017. Everyone had started to become accustomed with the way I was looking, and it was starting to wear off. So I was like, and I wasn't enjoying the travel. So he just got back from a year overseas. He was looking like a homeless man. Spitting image of Otto out of Happy Gilmore, the caddy that Adam Sandler picks up at the gate. Dead set spitting image, and loved traveling.
Knows nothing.
Knows
about
absolutely
golf.
Zero, man. Like, had never been to a golf tournament before. And I said, mate, Queenstown, it's my favourite place. You got to see this place. Come over, we'll play. I'll show you what you need to know. And after it, we'll jump in a camper van and we'll do a week just traveling around.
Yeah.
Little did he know that was all going to be just straight on the credit card, hoping that we'd be able to make it work. And sure enough, we turn up and he knows nothing. It's hard work. The Tuesday, the Wednesday, the Thursday, I'll never forget. This this is 2017. You mentioned, the result there at the start. But
New Zealand Open.
Yeah, Thursday, mate, I was up and down like a yo-yo. The emotions were all over the place. We get to 10, and I get to my ball. I've done my yardage. I turn around to grab a club, and he's nowhere to be seen. And he's down, like he's 200 metres back just chatting to the scorer. And I'm like, dude, we're on the clock. What are you doing? Like, I'm losing it. And I ended up shooting 1 under. And one of the boys shot 10 under that day. I was 9 behind after round 1. Jeez. And we played at Millbrook. The next day at the Hills, I shot 7. Yep. And I remember he goes through, and he's a smart dude. Like, he's got a science degree. He's doing his master's now in another degree. He's a smart dude. So he picks up on it through about 14, and the next time he goes, we're going all right here. I said, yeah, but we were already outside the cut line before we started, so we're maybe 1 or 2 inside it now. I said, this is where it matters. These last few holes here in the Hills, we've got to man up here. We've got to finish it off. Down. And then, I birdied 3 my last 5, I think, and shot 7. All right, we sort of made some headway, and then I went out and shot 6 the next day, and all right, now we're somewhere near it. And then I shot 5 in the last round, I think, and we posted a number where I was outright leader. Like clubhouse leader. And although there was still 3 groups on course, I was like, oh, how good's this? And we got on TV quite a bit at the end there, but no one knew what to say. There's a highlight there of the commentators going, have a look at these 2 blokes. They can walk. They're walk-up starts for the cast of The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio. And then I make the putt on the last for par, and they're screaming from the marquee because they get hammered over there on the Sunday. Like, it's party central. And in the marquee, they're screaming. They're like, yes, well said. And it was like Happy Gilmore. Like, it was the crowd we were attracting was hilarious. And I knew, like, once they didn't give me an interview after the round, I thought, they just don't know how to handle us here. And then
that's right. Yeah.
At the end of that, we finished 5th because the boys, I finished 2 behind, but it was a bunch up and finished 5th and paid for the trip. We had a ripping trip that week. It was one that we'll never forget, and it was pretty special. So, yeah, it was good, man. And then things quietened down for a bit after that. But
so you were clubhouse leader, and they didn't interview you?
They didn't know what to do, mate. They were. I went to them a month before that event and said, I've got Riz coming. I reckon this is a great opportunity to get some content leading in and, do stuff with it.
What is wrong with them, man?
And they didn't know what it was that, they were a bit scared. And look, don't get me wrong. They jumped on board later that year when we had 3 runs of events and Riz had come back, and we did New South Wales Open, Oz PGA into 2017. The first week we took over the Insta story for the tour, 4-minute video, just mucking around, being clowns, just being us. And I can honestly say everything we ever did together was literally just us just hanging out and being mates. And that's what was so ironic is the traction we got, again, exposed that there's something wrong with the game. If 2 blokes can go out there and just be mates and hang out and do what we normally do and get so much attention, there's something wrong there, really. We shouldn't be getting that much attention, but we loved it. It was able to build on that brand and made golf more entertaining and accessible to that wider demographic. So it was really good.
Yeah. I noticed the last couple of years, I think European Tour have done it really well with their Instagram. I think their content's been really good. And I think the PJ have followed them. The PJ Tour have followed them a little bit, their lead. Yeah. But what can we do back in Australia? Because as you mentioned before, it is it's a massive chance we can build something over here. And, back in the Norman days, it was huge. I mean, the crowds were huge. Players came out to play events. And then all of a sudden, we've got no events, hardly any players. So what do we do? What is it that we do, you think?
Yeah, look, I don't know. It's a tough one. We struggle here because population in this country is a lot smaller than every other country. So we don't have that to hold it up. So we can't just rely on the traditionalists, the 0.1% that to keep the game going. And we're in an industry, in the sporting industry, we're competing against some of the greatest sports in the world that are only played domestically. Like AFL, I am the biggest fan of AFL, and they're essentially a competitor of golf. We're vying for the same sponsors. So we have to do something very progressive if we're going to have any chance of engaging a demographic that is going to hold longevity for this sport and enough of a population to warrant, getting it on TV wanting to pay us to put that on, and sponsors going, this is a viable option to showcase my brand and product, on a telecast, on a player. It's not a billboard option right now because it's just not progressive. So progressive, mate, I think format-wise, we haven't even gone close to what we could.
I mean, they got the sixes. They've got the, what is it, the Super Sixes? Is that the tournament they do that's a little bit different? You can wear shorts, minimized amount of... So
it's very conservative, mate. I thought it was a great idea when it first came out, and then you play 3 rounds of normal golf. The entertainment doesn't start until you're on the bubble on Saturday, getting into that, the match play, the top 24. So around that bubble, it wasn't the guys that were definitely making it. It was around the bubble of the guys that are on the 24 or, that are going to make a couple of birdies and sneak in or make a couple of bogeys and fall out. That's where the entertaining golf was. But, mate, when you got to wait 3 days to get there, no one's got that time. Everyone's so time poor now. You need to give it to them. So give it to them earlier, right from the start. So I've written a couple of things. You can tell here, I'm pretty opinionated, but I'm passionate more than anything. Like, I do want to see this game, and there's an invested interest there. Like, I want to compete and play sport for a living. It's the greatest career ever. But at the moment, that's not a viable option in this country because there's just not enough tournaments to play for. I'm relying on 3 or 4 weeks a year to make a yearly wage. So we need to create a product that people want to watch and want to be involved with.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, what they want to watch is something shorter, more entertaining, with energy, right? Energy. And so the energy comes usually from the back nine on a Sunday, right? Because people are making mistakes. They're making birdies.
Reality
people
TV,
are making
man.
runs. Exactly. I mean, how many people have got a lead and lose it on the back nine? I mean, it's got to be 9 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
There's entertainment every time. And so it's got to be the format and big players. Named players. You've got to get players out here. Now, how do you get players out there? You've got to pay them to get here. And if you pick the right players, the investment's going to be there, right? Surely the investment's there if you get the players.
Yeah, I think that's tough because the money's got to come from somewhere, right? So, I think initially we have the opportunity to be the leaders in innovation in this country. We have the ones, we could be the ones to really start something, and then other tours look at us and go, well, work there. We're going to try it. And we can bank off the fact that we were the ones that tried that first. I'd love to be that, the initiators of different formats and trying it. And, it can be at a smaller purse without those players initially, if it's broadcast and produced right. Like, you can cut highlight reels together that show something really entertaining. Mate, that's the world we live in now. So produce something special and then, that's just the bait on the hook. And then you catch someone that goes, all right, and you got to go in with some pretty strong negotiation and know that your product is solid and negotiate something big there and just balls out on it and go. And unfortunately, again, that sort of thinking is very progressive. It's it's risky. But, mate, I see the tour dying a pretty slow death right now. And, it might be just my personality and it's my opinion, but I'd love to see them have a red hot crack and die in 5 years knowing they left it all on the table than die in 10 years going, well, we hung on to it for as long as we could. There's too many guys' lives at play here. So many guys relying on that. And, we're lucky. We've got that backup. But there's a lot of guys on tour that don't have that have been in golf their whole lives and have managed to get to this point. But it's highly populated out there on the Aussie Tour now with very limited opportunity to make money enough to live. It's not like you're going to sponsors and getting people to pay you. You got to be super lucky to find that person or company that can see the value and return on investment. So, mate, it's tough out there right now. And it's, we've got and it's a lot to ask of an organisation too, really. I don't know what the answer is, but I think we need to really try some bold moves. And I sat on the players board for 18 months and I portrayed a lot of those views. And, unfortunately, I couldn't see that being through, and it could have been my impatience too. I am a bit that way, the way I've probably mentioned and talked, sort of the way I go, but I want to see results now. I want to see things move quick, and unfortunately, things in this industry at no level move quickly.
And I think that players can adjust. I mean, if there's money on the line and there's some interest, players they'll fall on the line and play these different types of events, whether it's Ryder Cup style, shortened events. The players will get involved if they're playing for a check. It doesn't matter how, right?
Absolutely. Music's the first one, mate. Music's the first one, right? They had this whole thing that the party holes were, players don't like it. Doesn't matter. The players, white noise, we'll be fine with it. It's just that habitual change. As long as we get used to it, it's fine. We'll learn to play it. We don't need... How many guys do you see on the range with headphones in? It's not like they need to hear the sound of the ball. It's not like tennis where, the ball gets hit back at you and the sound off the racket is instinctive to what your reaction is. Like, it's not like that with golf. So if pumping music and using venues as multi-purpose venues, so you've got concerts and stuff happening simultaneously, let's go. If it's going to bring money and bring crowds and showcase what we've got, mate, let's do it.
Exactly.
Like, I don't see the reason why we wouldn't. We've got...
There's no reason not to. No reason not to.
Totally. And again, it's my opinion, and I'm very much vocal in that, but it's easy
time to
for
think
me
outside
as a
the box,
keyboard
man.
warrior too. I sit back here and I have sat on the players board and I've put those views across, and I'm pretty passionate, and I think I like to think I give back where I can. But it is easy for me to say too. The guys sitting in those positions that make the calls, they're getting paid a salary. They've got to, they can't be too risky either. Like, they've got families to feed and whatnot. So, it's a tough ask when it comes to that sort of stuff too.
I think it's definitely time where, especially Australia, can have a chance at doing something outside the box for once. And even if it's 1 or 2 weeks a year, why not, right? Why not?
Totally, mate. And don't get 70% of the tour demographic, like the players out there, are my age or younger.
Yeah, that's right.
They live in a world where they've seen what the world looks like and what every other industry looks like, and golf's not there. We're a long way behind. So we need to evolve and adapt, and the guys are ready to do that, I can assure you.
And ask the audience what they want. Just put out a survey. Go, what would bring you here? I think even asking my wife, Libby, people like that who have got nothing to do, what would bring you out to a golf tournament? And I guarantee she'll say quick, music, food, and drink.
Destination, mate. You got to make the tournament a destination, and golf is a sidekick. Like, golf's playing in the background, but you get people there that then filter in and they see that, and it's a value add. And you just got to bring value, mate. And that's something we struggle with.
The other thing too is when you watch highlight reels back and things like that, when they cut them up, no, they're not showing all the shit that happens. Bloke made triple, that's what you want to see. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see the birdies and eagles, but I want to see the doubles and triples and quads.
Mate, you look at the highest watch of golf videos, it's blokes snapping clubs, throwing them in and that's not the answer. I'm not saying that that's what we need to see, but that's part of it. It's the reality TV aspect that closes the gap of relatability between spectator and player. And that is the biggest thing golf doesn't have right now. And the Vic Open have done well with it, where there's no ropes. You walk inside the ropes, essentially. Still a little bit, stake, but it's a start.
Yeah.
But we need to showcase more of that when we put it on TV, because that is how people will find entertainment. It's the conversations between player caddy.
Yeah.
It's the it's the and yes, you've got to, and again, players will fall into line. There's a lot of swearing on the golf course. You can't put that, but cut and edit. Put it on a 2-second delay. Do whatever you need to do to make it work. But that's what you need to showcase, more of that stuff.
Yeah, the younger generation don't care about swearing. Shit, I mean, come on, and as you said, you can always beep it out if it's too offensive. But that's what people want. They want the emotion. They want the emotion for sure. 100%.
Yeah, and they want to see guys pull it off under pressure when they didn't expect it, and they want to see guys that they expect to win stuff up. Like, that's what people watch that, mate. Like, funniest home videos was one of the highest rating TV shows because people wanted to watch people hurt themselves and make mistakes. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You're not going to get to hurt yourself in golf very often, but you're going to get to making mistakes and, blowing up and having that brain fade that is, it's life. Like it's normal, man. Like that's what we got to showcase, more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. The interactions, that'd be awesome, I think, if you could hear the caddy and player what they want to try and do with the golf ball. And then, as you said, doing it, amazing. If they don't do it, snap a club, amazing. So
very different to the audio you get of Riz and I when we're out on the golf course. They did that 2017 year.
Yeah.
Riz, that was after. So we'd done that Instagram video. The following week, the golf show interviews him on the range. Andrew Datto, yeah. Datto interviews him, and Riz asked him 3 times the interview who he was and what he was doing there. Like it was, I'm losing it on the range. And then the following week at Aussie PGA, they mic'd him up for the first 3 or 4 holes of the second round. And he signed that video off by calling out all the sponsors in the marquees on 18. And you guys up there in the tents, if you want to have a couple of brown lemonades with us, just let us know. That's how he said, like it was.
Yeah.
And mate, that was a 6.5 minute video that had more views than any other video they'd done because it was something different and it showcased the real side of it. We sung songs as we played. Like that's just, there's nothing played up there. They got the best bits of the 4 holes, but it was just us. I was out there playing golf. And then the final round we played with Sergio. And by that stage, he's out there. He's the reigning Masters champ again.
And tell us about that, man. You smashed him, by the way. 68, I think you had, and he had 74 or something.
Yeah, I beat him. It was he had to run at me late, but I had his man. Did he? But he wasn't
Tell
happy.
me about that experience.
Oh, man, walking onto the tee, like I'd love to be able to get it up and show you, but the night before was the best one because we've finished and I'm seeing my name on the leaderboard and I'm doing the maths and I'm working out and I'm like, Riz, we're going to be playing with Sergio, I think. We're going, oh, no, maybe not. And then it gets posted.
Oh, my God.
And they post the tiles of the tee times and Riz is in the tile. So it's Lucas Herbert, Sergio Garcia, Jack Wilson, and Riz. And it's like him in the background. It's never been done before, man. At no stage have I ever seen that. Probably one of the most progressive things that, but mate, you should have seen the crowd we brought out. It was like trailer park, Happy Gilmore crowds. It was hilarious. And walking onto the tee, the first tee, Sergio's standing there. And Riz walks up and introduced himself. That was back in the day where we could shake hands and stuff. And the look on Sergio's face, mate, was hilarious. He's looking around for Ashton Kutcher like, when am I getting punked here? Like, is there something going on? What is this about? And then the best one was on the 9th. And there was just video, film of me fist pumping him after we had birdie a couple of holes earlier. We get to 9, I hit in the green side bunker on the par 5 for 2. And he's at 30 feet. I get in the bunker and hit my bunker shot out and it goes directly on his line. So he's doing his pre-shot routine, puts his ball down. My ball's still sitting there. And he looks around and here's Riz handing me the rake. And I'm in there raking my own bunk just because he had no idea what to do. So, mate, he's my best mate. I'm not going to, at that stage, I wasn't sending him in to rake bunkers and risking him costing me the 500 fine. So Sergio's waiting for me to mark my ball because I'm raking my own bunkers. He was so perplexed. And then,
wow. Did he say anything to you or did he speak to you at all?
Yeah, he spoke to me on the way around and that. And he's a bit precious. He's a bit precious. And he wasn't having the best of days. It was 25 degrees and he had his umbrella up saying it was too hot and hit one of the worst shots that I've ever seen on 14. It went in the middle of the lake on the right of 14 there. It wasn't a shank. It was just clean out of the middle. And it was 40 short in the middle of the lake. I don't even know how he got it there, but
it was driver or 3 wood off the tee?
14,
the par 3 or par 4?
Par 3.
No, par 3. Sorry,
par 3,
gotcha.
Yeah. So
one we were complaining about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. That same hole. So I got some good memories for that hole.
So he didn't shake it just straight off the middle?
Just, mate, I don't even know what happened. And then he's blaming the heat and he's got heat stroke and oh, man, it was... And look, he was a good dude. We had a good chat. And I've chatted to him a couple of times, but he is a bit precious. He's lived at the top for a long time. And, you're out here in Australia now. That's it. You're out here in Australia now with the Bogans, mate. You gotta learn to fit in.
That is hilarious. What a story, man. That would have been such a cool experience to play with someone like that. And even Herbie now, he's up the top now on the European tour, and
yeah,
he was with you too, right?
He was. Yep. Golf, man. It brings out some interesting characters. You talk about Serge, and then Herbie, and it is an interesting sport, but it's just another reason why we need to showcase.
He's another opinionated guy, right?
Very much
Herbie.
so. And bit different, man. Like, he's a bit different the way he goes about things too. Like, full credit to him when he's on, his confidence is absolutely superior. Like, his win early in the year, he hit some awful golf shots, and he has the ability to hit some bad ones. But man, when he's on, he's a competitive little bugger, and he makes it work. He rides that wave better than anyone.
Now, to finish, I want to talk about something that not many golfers would have done, in their past. I know it was a par 68, but you were able to shoot 58 at Hillsville with 2 bogeys behind you. That would have been an epic experience too, mate. That was last year. Talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, mate. Ironic around that, because there was actually a bit of, I was on the players board at the time, the players committee, and there was a bit of we got called off for a rain delay that day as well. There was a bit of a fuss over one of the players. He was in front, and that was one of the last pro-ams of the year. So there's a lot of guys vying for, it meant a lot, the money from that event.
Yeah, sure.
And he made a mistake, and he played out a hole before the siren had sounded. So essentially, he'd practiced on the golf course. And I've witnessed it, and I've gone, well, look, it sucks, but unfortunately, that's rules are rules. Like, they're in play, and this is a pretty big call. And my opinion was he should have been DQ'd, and it was ruled upon as the tournament committee, which was the organizer in that at the time, that they're going to let him off and let him continue. And so I blew up, and I had full-on blow-ups with the tournament organisers mid-round on course multiple times. So when I finished, like, I hold the putt on the last for 10 under, and I was just surreal. Like, I hadn't really taken into what was going on, and then I hold it, and they feel at me like, oh yeah, and I'm like, oh yeah, and it was like such a weird experience.
So you were really basically, you were angry at, or you had the emotion of that in your head more than what you were doing with your golf.
Absolutely, mate. And then they got plenty of traction afterwards, and it's an awesome thing to say. And look, to say I shot 58, not many people can do it, even though it is 68 and it's not a true sub 60 round. But hey,
mate,
look, I've got it there.
Double digits under par, man. Double digits under par, bro. I mean, tell me there's not many guys would be able to do that under tournament conditions. I'm talking, not just your
and look, if I'm full disclosure here, which I shouldn't, because Hillsville isn't the longest of golf courses.
Don't tell me it's a pitch and putt, bro. Come on, build it up.
It's not a pitch and putt, but it's par 68. It's a short one at that. So no, look, it was good. It's a great one to have, and yeah, look, it's a cool thing to have on this sport. Gives the opportunity to have some pretty cool things to talk about, and I've got a lot of them. Whether it be my time in Europe, whether it be my time in Canada, the stuff I've done here in Australia. I've got a very rich bank of memories, and it's been a good sport to me, and hopefully there's more to come.
Yeah, so just briefly on your future, mate. So you're 29, not even 30 yet, mate. So don't count yourself out yet.
No, I'm starting to find my rhythm right now, I reckon.
No, yeah, nice, mate, nice. All right, so you're doing some coaching, are you? Can people find your coaching? Is that what you're doing right now in Canberra?
Yeah. So, as I said, based down in Canberra now. I've been lucky enough to join the team at Royal Canberra. I got a lot of experience in that customer service hospitality. So currently doing a lot in the operational side, but yeah, definitely coaching. I've definitely got a passion for that. I don't know whether the structure of my lessons is perfect, but I've still got TrackMan that I managed to acquire at the start when everything was going good. And, I like to get on there and be pretty analytical and hopefully help some people. So, that's been great. And, we'll see what happens with the world when everything calms down, mate. It's tough being out there. I've accrued quite a bit of debt chasing the dream out there. So,
sure.
The decision is to sort of build up some financial security and stability and hopefully get to a point where I can have something that can fund the ability to go out and play again. Absolutely. That's, like I said, playing sport for a living, there's nothing better. But right now, I might be mature, and maybe that's what it is. It's a scary time. So,
well, people don't realize how much it costs, man. Like, gee, if you just showed your balance sheet at the end of the year, people would be very surprised at how much it costs.
And look, it's easy to find on the internet, like what you've made. But I made a lot in that year, that 2013 year, and I got a scholarship from GA worth the same amount, like another 100, and I spent it all in 12 months' time. Like it was, and that wasn't like I didn't stay in ritzy hotels. It's just an expensive gig. So, when you and look, don't get me wrong, probably could have saved some money out of that, but I
live life too, man.
Yeah, I certainly lived. I can assure you that. But it is expensive. So when you don't have, and you're banking all on 3 weeks a year, and you accrue that money, and then you're going into an event going, I really need to perform this week, and I need to finish top 10 in a pretty star-studded field. That's a lot of pressure to have, and it's not sustainable, mate. And again, I saw it again at the end of last year where, I felt like I was playing pretty good and I was in a good position, but I needed to make money in those 3 events at the end of the year, and I missed 3 cuts by 1, 2, and 3, I think, and I don't make a cent, but it cost me $6,000, $7,000 for those 3 weeks, sort of thing. Like,
that's right. Yeah. It's fickle, isn't it?
You're staying in Airbnbs that are, like you're cramming guys in. It's not like we're staying in the Pullman. Yeah. It's a tough gig out there, mate. And, but at the same time, I've had a lot of really good highs, and the lows are there as well. But we're just professional gamblers. Like, that's all we are. You put the money down, you bank yourself in to make more than what you put in. And the thrill of that is worth it. So I just want to make it a bit more stable and a bit more solid. And I've got a fantastic partner that I want to make sure I'm around a little bit.
Yeah, nice, mate. And so, good luck with your coaching venture and what you're doing up with Sandilands there at Canberra. And I really appreciate it. If you want to shout out to anyone too before we go.
Mate, just these guys, Birds of Condor, pretty controversial, but they do it right. Jump on, check them out. Birds of Condor are fantastic. They're at Byron
So
Bay
what do they
company.
do? They do so they're Byron Bay company, golf apparel.
Apparel, yeah. So golf company, and got quite a bit of traction from the golf show in Orlando last year, and they're doing a lot overseas. Again, like anything, man, they struggle because the population's so small here. So, but Frankie's a champ, and his wife Zoe, just a cool family business that love the game and want to make it a little cooler. I don't know whether I can do that. It doesn't look as cool, this hat without dreadlocks coming out the back, but it was a pretty special thing to be able to do that at the end of last year. And the brand's still good, man. I think Birds of Condor are doing some fantastic things. And Riz the Caddy, use that in the checkout. Use the code Riz the Caddy. You'll get 20% off any orders. So there's plenty of incentive there.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. Well, all the best to you, mate. Great catching up with you. I really enjoyed our time, mate.
Mate, I appreciate it. And I think it's a fantastic thing what you're doing. Good luck. Anytime I can offer anything, man, anything opinionated, just
mate,
buzz me in.
I'll be straight on the phone call, mate. I'll be straight on the phone. Don't worry.
I'm happy to stir the pot a little.
Nice, mate. Awesome. Thank you.
Cheers, brother.